What's going on, everybody? Today we're going to be talking about how to dominate tactics within Football Manager. Whether you're in a network save, your own personal save, or even in the draft scene, you're going to be able to shut down your opponent every single time. I have recently been going very in depth with how I go about developing my tactics and making sure that we have everything basically picture perfect to where we are not going to concede a whole lot of goals and we're going to win a whole lot of games. And a perfect example of that is my new save that I'm doing on stream with Burnley. We have played 9 games, won all 9, conceded 1 goal throughout those 9. And it's all thanks to a tool that I've used to break down my tactics basically a majority of this year so far. Tacticalboard.com. I'll be linking it down below in the description because it helps me to visualize exactly what I want to do to my opponent with my tactic. And there's plenty of other people that use this tool as well. And majority of the time, those who do utilize it are going to end up doing better because they can kind of visualize what they want to do and then they implement it into Football Manager and execute it to perfection. But even if you don't want to use tacticalboard.com, you can still be able to do it by just making a tactic within Football Manager. So definitely do keep that in mind as well. You don't have to utilize that tool, but it does make things easier and helps you visualize what you want to do. So what we have in front of me right now is the main tactic that I have been using currently against some of the more default type formations, the 4-3-3s, 4-2-3-1s, 4-4-2s, as well as the 5-3-2, which is exactly what this is. So why is it working so darn well? Because I have 2 different tactics that have a 3 in the back. It is my 5-3-2 as well as a 3-4-3 or the 5-2-3 as the game would call it. What both allow me to do is lock down the opposition's attack. How do I do that exactly? Do I use opposition instructions? Is it based on positional play? How does it kind of end up doing that? So say we're playing a 4-3-3 like we see here. These blue dots are set up in a 4-3-3 formation currently. My back 3, the right center back, central center back, and left center back are marking each winger as well as the striker. So the central center back marking the striker, right center back, left winger, left center back, right winger. Their attack can now do nothing. I have them on lock. The only way that they beat that defense is if they are quicker than them, stronger than them, bigger than them. And I made sure that they weren't. Now, one thing that a lot of people don't really realize about a 4-3-3 is that when it gets to the central midfield area, it's kind of fairly narrow. Where your width comes from in a 4-3-3 is your wingbacks and your wingers. If you are using a central midfielder that is a Mezzala or a Carlero, yes, they will move into the channels. They'll go out a bit wider. But for this example, they aren't. So we end up dominating the width. We have taken away their ability in their wingers. It is now our wingbacks versus their wingbacks. And the thing about that battle is they have to worry about my strikers and my central midfielders as well due to the roles that I have them playing in the player instructions on those roles as well. So Lewis and Roberts, they end up dominating out wide. Another thing that really helps us dominate is what I have them instructed to do when crossing the ball. They're instructed to cross from the byline. So they're going to basically get as close as they can to that byline. Say this wingback is on Lewis, that wingback is on Roberts. We have the center backs drop down. You have Good Janssen or Foster there, Vardy or Koleosho there. But then we have Busio coming up as a central midfielder, as well as Hannibal Mejbri. He's coming up as a box-to-box midfielder. And then we have Brownhill here as well. Now, this front 3, they don't have a lot of defensive abilities or defensive reliability within their system. So they're essentially going to be staying up here once I can move that there. So Schlotterbeck, Vitti, and Dyer all move up. They move, that's the striker, my bad. They end up moving down. So this is kind of how it looks when we have the ball with one of the wingbacks. What is great about this is I made sure they have more pace essentially than anyone that we're playing against, and that they also have better playmaking ability than anyone we are playing against. So, say Lewis has the ball, he whips that cross in, he is either going to give Vardy or Koleosho, Gudjonsen or Foster, hand the ball here, or even Busio coming up. The defense on the opponent, the defense on the opposing team can't do anything to stop us. It is pure and utter dominance because we are winning the numbers game everywhere. And that is how you are going to dominate in Football Manager with your tactics. Win the numbers game. You will win all the time. And now, like I said, there are other formations that I'm utilizing. Once again, we're going to show it against a 4-3-3. Keep in mind, this works against a 4-3-3, 4-2-3-1, 4-4-2, 5-2-3. I've utilized both of these three in the back tactics against all of those. And they've dominated each and every one because we're winning the numbers game. With the 3-4-3 or 5-2-3, however you want to refer to it as, we have got that back three covering their front three once again. Boom. Eliminated just like in the previous one. We then are winning the width times 2 this time. If we wish to do so, that is. Because these wingbacks are doing the exact same thing that I instructed on the other ones. Play it wide. Stay wide. Cross from the byline. Represent our width. Because the wingers are inside forwards. So they're essentially wide strikers that cut inside. And then we have our main striker as well. So you've got wing back here, center back here, center back here, wing back here. Defensive midfielder will come down as well. They might be trying to mark that striker. But essentially, what happens is you are in a 5v4, and those two center backs have to try and cover 3 strikers, as those wingers are wide strikers in this formation. So say Lewis ends up having the ball and he wants to cross the ball. He once again has Koleosho as an option. Vardy, Gudjonsen, or Foster, whoever's in that striker role. Marquinhos, or if he wants to go all the way to the back post, Roberts, and then Roberts ends up hitting one of the strikers. It is pure and utter chaos, and your opponent doesn't know what to do because you're winning the numbers game. But now we move on to that third tactic, and the third one that I've been using is a 4-4-2, the Burnley way, the generic Burnley style tactic, except it's not generic. I have it slightly asymmetrical, and it's straight up because I have one central midfielder and then a defensive midfielder. That defensive midfielder is a segundo volante, so a late arriving playmaking type player is what I was looking for, and that is why we drop one of them instead of both of them, because I wanted to make sure that they aren't able to plan for 2 defensive midfielders. Instead, they got to plan for a central midfielder and a defensive midfielder, with that defensive midfielder being the ultimate weapon within this sort of system right here. So, with this 4-4-2 versus 4-3-3, it definitely becomes very different, because instead of us having a man to basically lock on to both wingers as well as a striker, we now have 4 in the back. Except I have it to where Roberts and Lewis are essentially acting the exact same throughout all 3 tactics. So that leaves us with 2 of them. However, what is awesome is Vitti will move over, Schlotterbeck moves over. Due to the defense midfielder being a segundo volante, what is awesome about it is that they like to roam. So they might really be a late arriving defense midfielder and stay back so that those wingbacks can go forward. Or the wingback will stay back and then they'll go forward, and the winger is going to then act as the wingback. So even though we don't have that back 3 like the other 2 times, we still have it to where we're making sure we have it planned out to where we can still cover that front 3. Or if it's a 4-2-3-1, that back 4 can cover that front 4. So we're making sure that we're prepared for whatever's thrown at us, because thankfully we can switch between all these tactics on the fly. And once again in attack, we're winning that numbers game because Vardy and Gudjonsen go up. Koleosho is cutting inside, as is Marquinhos. You have Hannibal coming up, Brownhill or Busio, whoever's in that Segunda Volante area, the wing backs, and then you have the center backs up as well. So it is a bombardment of players when we are playing this sort of style, but it's still very, very defensive as well. So you kind of get the best of both worlds when you do something like that. Now, what those of you may be wondering right now is Gourmet telling me essentially, in order to dominate my opponent, I have to play a 3-in-the-back system or a 4-4-2 style type of tactic? No, I am not. However, it does make things a whole heck of a lot easier. I have always ran a 4-in-the-back system, yet after having experienced what I've done by doing all this testing and whatnot to kind of prove myself that I might be right about all this, I don't know if I'll go back to playing a normal 4-in-the-back system. If I do, it 100% has to be asymmetric. And you're probably wondering, why do I say it would probably have to be asymmetric? Once again, because of the numbers game. This is something that I literally just threw together in about 10 seconds. We have that back four once again, like in the 4-4-2, obviously, and we already know how we can lock them down. But then we have a central midfielder, an attacking midfielder, a winger on the left, and then a midfield winger on the right. We're dominating this area 2v1, dominating this area 2v1. We have these two strikers up here, but you're probably saying, okay, this guy is free and alone. He is going to be able to do whatever he wants. It's not true at all, because this winger can come down and cover him, or the attacking midfielder will come down and cover him. This striker moves inside, the winger goes here. Yes, the wing back is then available, but then this wing back comes up to cover him, and then we're back to that. And everyone is covered once again. So essentially, what it ends up being is a game of chess. You are trying to outplay your opponent, because we saw how I had it lined up initially with this jumbled mess, and still we find a way for everyone to cover someone based on roles and instructions on those players that allow them to be able to cover whoever, wherever, and whenever. But for those of you that do not know what the opposition instructions are, this is the opposition instructions area within the tactics screen. We are going to be going over this in detail in my next video, so definitely make sure to check it out. So there we have it for today's video. Hope you guys got something out of it to where you can apply it to help you dominate Football Manager for years to come. If you did enjoy, please feel free to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Subscribing is 100% free, so why not hit that sub button. In the next video, I'll be going in depth, in detail for opposition instructions as well as player instructions on player roles. So definitely make sure to check that out. Hit the notification bell so you guys get notified when that video does go live here on the channel. Right now, I'll be popping up my most recent video that I did here on the channel as well, so definitely make sure to check that out. But until next time, everyone, have a good one. Bye-bye.